So when I was coming back from work today, I decided like I am sick of eating.
Whoa.
No, okay. Let me explain this. So
Man starves himself.
no, essentially, one of the things I just don't like is my need to eat because like I assess myself. I really study myself a lot. And one of the things I do is that I am a grazer. So whenever I eat food, I tend to eat it not in a meal, but just like in general. So even if I'm not hungry, I'm like, oh, there's a Cheeto over there. I'll have it. Just munch on. Out of boredom, like how you used to, eat food out of boredom because it was right next to you, but now you have water.
Yep.
So for me, I'm thinking like, okay, I really don't need to eat breakfast right now, but I don't feel full from last night for me to not want to eat breakfast.
Mm.
So what my solution was is that, okay, what's one thing that always make me feel full? And the answer was simple: protein.
Just eat rice.
No.
Just eat like a lot of rice, and
Oh
you'll
my
always
god,
be
no.
full.
That will be too much. Okay. I don't know
Then just
about
drink
you.
water.
Yeah, I am, but like, here's the thing: rice makes me bloat, and also it makes me feel terrible because it's one of those things where it's like, it's kind of like bread. It's okay to have like 2 slices, maybe 3, possibly 4, but once you get, once you have like white bread or some whole wheats are not good enough. It gets to the point where you're just chopping it down like chips for me. So I have a bad problem with carbs.
Mm.
And with protein, I can't stomach more than like a good handful of it, no matter what. So
What do you mean?
So I thought, like, let me go ahead and get myself some protein. I don't really get protein powder, but I decided to go to Publix anyway. I go to
Oh, you mean like powder? Okay.
powder, yeah, protein powder. I also been doing like some boxing and stuff, but I'll get into that some other time. Anyway, I go to the Publix, and one of the things I noticed is that they had this cool new deal on muscle milk for $18.99, and I get like about maybe 20 servings worth of muscle milk for about like $19 and some change. So I'm like, dang, that's a pretty good deal. I go to the register, and the lady's about to check me out, and the cost came up to $27.99.
Jeez.
And I'm like, what? This is some false advertising. No, but I didn't say that. I was like, no, I can't pay for that. It said $18.99 on the sign, and she's like, oh wait, I'm so sorry. Here, let me change it. And then she got her manager over, and then like imagine now. Think about this, Jeffrey. If I had lied and said no, the price was $18.99 when it was actually $27.99. I'd be screwed because the manager took his time to go out of his way to go over to the aisle I was, check for the item, and then look the price up and bring the tag over. So luckily, I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying to him. So I'm telling him this, and he comes up. Oh, I'm so sorry. We misled you. The price was $27.99, but we have it here as $18.99. I'm so sorry about that. Here, we'll just let you have the whole thing for free.
Well, worked out for you.
Oh yeah, like the 20 minutes I was late to this podcast, I was out getting free protein.
I mean, you weren't late. I was just like watching YouTube, so it didn't really matter.
Okay, well yeah, free protein. That's what I'm drinking today. What about you?
I don't think I've ever had like a protein powder thing before.
You haven't?
No, I never saw the point in it. If I wanted protein, I'd go eat like eggs or something.
No, yeah.
That's real food, not like powder. I don't know. It always just seemed like, like how could you eat that kind of to me?
It's kind
Like,
of for me like it's kind of like in a sense how how you take like HP pills or like potions to increase your strength and like one-handedness in Skyrim.
oh, okay,
So
yeah.
that's how
Kinda
you would
scared.
use it. It's not so much as food, but it's just like, hey, I want to increase my stamina before this big old fight, so let me go ahead and increase it by regeneration.
Why? But why even use potions? Just use like healing spells. They're so much better.
Yeah, but we don't have healing spells unless you train for that.
Or unless you're like really into that sort of thing and you like trick your body, like
No,
You
no,
know?
you have to be mysticist to train your body like you're a
Uh
yogi.
huh.
You have to meditate on top of the Himalayan mountains in order for you to
Yeah.
master your body.
It's like I just got stabbed. Let me just sit down and meditate about it. And
Five.
then he just dies. He just goes face down like in a pool of blood.
Oh boy,
That'd be pretty funny.
that'd be funny. That'd be a really
Um,
sad. That'd be a really sad newscast. A man dies by meditating too hard.
it'd be sad, but it'd be funny.
Yeah.
What's it called? So that was your day, basically. What you've done?
Oh, not only that, but there was one more thing. So I woke up today with the worst pain ever in my arm and neck, and I think it's because I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. But here's the thing that really like messed me up mentally is that I didn't feel any pain when I first got up and when I was getting dressed and everything until I walked outside. My whole body just caved of me.
Maybe it was the sunlight. Maybe your body just isn't used to it.
But the thing is, it was dark outside.
Oh,
So like I'm getting up and it's like 6:15 out the
well,
door, and I'm like, what's happening to my body? Everything was totally fine. I went and got my water to get ready to go to work, and then my arm just like, man, I'm sick of you, and it just gave up. My neck was felt like it was about to pop, and even now it feels like it's about to pop any minute.
well, yeah. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning a bit. It was probably like how when you first wake up in the morning, like parts of your body are still like asleep.
Yeah.
It was probably that where not all of your muscles were fully awake, and then when you stepped outside and actually started moving, they like more so. They
So
woke up and were like, "Hey, we're not feeling too good. I don't feel too good, Mr. Stark."
it was painful picking up wood and in blocks today. It was super painful. I had to take it easy
Mm.
and tell my boss that, hey, my body's not feeling great right now. I think what everyone told me is that, hey, man, you need to start stretching in the morning. And I'm like, I don't stretch in the morning. I'm not a yogi, but I might actually
Well,
have to.
if you're lifting all day, you definitely need to stretch beforehand, or you're gonna hurt yourself.
And I guess listeners,
It's
look at
not
me.
like a hippie thing.
I don't know. It's not so much for the hippie thing. It's just the fact that I'm like, when I wake up, the first thing I do is essentially just go to the toilet and then go to my bed and then immediately head on to Twitter or YouTube and then some Reddit afterwards.
I do the second part first. I just wake up and to stay awake because usually I'll just pass right back out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll open my phone and start like watching YouTube or like just browsing things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go to the bathroom and like brush my teeth and stuff, and then I won't go back to my bed afterwards because if I do, I'll fall asleep.
That's the thing. Like, and here's the thing: I have a really terrible time getting awake because I even have an alarm where I have to get up out of my bed, take a picture of a portrait I have on my bathroom wall, and then after that, I have to shake the phone 5 times in order for the alarm to stop.
Jeez.
And I still like, well, I'm so tired, so I'm gonna go to bed. Or like, the only way I don't go to bed is because if I have YouTube or a podcast on, and I think the only reason is because I need voices or people to actually start like talking in order for my body to be like, oh, I have to stay up now.
Mm.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that doesn't really work for me. I have to like willingly get out of my bed
Hmm.
because even if like say my brother comes in to like wake me up, I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm awake," and then immediately after he closes the door, just close my eyes and go straight back to sleep. But that's just kind of me. It's also really hard to actually wake me up. So,
How's your
yep.
day?
My day has been fairly normal. Not much has really happened. I played some Total War earlier. It was pretty fun. I'm playing the Picts right now in Total War Attila. For you, I don't think you ever played that game, so I couldn't talk to you about it.
No,
It
I
was pretty
wanted to
fun.
get Total War sometime soon, and I'm basically planning on making a giant, Steam and computer splurge in July.
Just to get Payday 2 first because I'll play that with you a lot and it's really fun.
I think I
So,
might be able to. I might just buy Payday 2 today because I was about to spend $20 on protein. I could spend how
I
much
think
on Payday
I
2?
think it's $10 from I mean I'm looking right now. But oh yeah, otherwise my day has been complete. Yeah, The Ultimate Edition with all the DLC is $20.16, and
Yeah,
the regular is 10. So
I might buy it. I might just buy it today and get it over with. You know,
yeah, we can play a lot together with that. It's really fun and has good music too.
okay. You know,
So
one of the things I gotta say, like besides Skyrim, I've been kind of dropping in gaming lately.
yeah, I've been doing less. I've been like reading a lot more and just sort of doing other things. I mean, gaming is still my biggest like relaxation thing, but it's not all I do, you know.
Yeah, same here. I mean, one of the things I tried doing is that besides just collecting a whole like stack of books, I'm actually trying to read it.
Hmm.
Like, there's this one book besides the one that I showed you about Noam Chomsky that I like. There's one called Going Good to Great.
Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky.
Ugh,
Yeah, everyone has
very
their.
strong opinions about him.
What have you been reading?
Well, it's it's a bit embarrassing to say, but I've been reading a lot of fan fiction recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's been pretty good. I just went through one that was like I think like 800,000 words or something like that. It was very, very long. It's very, very good. Um, and no, it's not the terrible kind. It was actually really well made. It's for the Mass Effect series, which is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
series. But right now, I just finished all that, and now well, my mom got all of the Game of Thrones books for her birthday last month, and she's about to finish the first one. So I think I'm gonna start reading those after her because I like the show a lot, and I've heard the books are really good and they're really long, so it's something to do.
I really want to watch Game of Thrones. I mean,
You haven't seen it?
no,
Oh, it's so good.
I know. I see.
Well,
I
the
seen
first few seasons.
spoilers. I seen some spoilers. Like a kid get shot up. I saw a kid get shot with an arrow after being allowed to run back to the enemy camp.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was when I saw that, and I was at my uncle's house because he has a full HBO TV package. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, that was a really cruel way to take someone's hope away.
Did you see the battle afterwards?
Nope. As soon as I saw
Oh
that, no, I didn't see the battle. You would think that I would say the whole thing. It's like,
man, the battle right after that, the battle of the bastards, was like the best battle in the entire show. Um, but the thing about Game of Thrones is that the TV show is getting farther than the books because the actual writer hasn't made a book in like years because he's been working on this new one. So, well, not so much. He's been like working on the next one.
mhm.
So for the past like season and a half or so, or two, I don't remember how long, they have not had a book to go off of, so they've been going in their own direction. The quality has dropped like a lot, because I guess the book storylines really prop the writers up, and they're not really that great of writers.
They're pretty good adapters,
Um,
but they're not good at creating their own.
yeah, they're pretty decent adapters, except for one storyline in Dorne, the sort of like southern like desert kingdom. They really messed that up.
Mm.
But otherwise, the show has been really good. You should definitely watch it. That's kind of like saying you've never seen Star Wars. Like that's just like a sin.
No, luckily I have seen Star Wars. If I haven't seen Star Wars, people would get really mad at me. I don't know why, but they would. I think
Well,
it's
because it's so big in our culture.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I'll tell you this. The one thing about me is that I consume media at a very slow pace. Like good media, I consume very slow, but like surface, quick to digest media, I can have almost any day, and I would on the current topic. But that's the problem. Like anything that's like, oh, we need you to invest like serious amount of time and hours into it, like Breaking Bad. I'm less
You,
likely to watch it.
have you have you not seen Breaking Bad?
No.
Oh, it's like that and Game of Thrones are like some of the best TV shows like ever.
See, but here's the thing: I'm not really good at holding down TV shows because it takes it's a commitment.
Yeah, but it's like reading a book. Because like you're gonna like let's say you watch one episode of Breaking Bad a day for an hour. And I would say Breaking Bad is actually better than Game of Thrones in terms of quality because Breaking Bad only got better the longer it went on. The
Hmm.
worst season is probably the first one. because the
Wow,
characters don't change that much.
that's a
Because
that's
like
a
the
shocking.
yeah, I know the fifth season is probably the best one. Because there's five seasons. The character Walter, I'm trying not to spoil
Walter
much
White,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, he changes so much between seasons like 2 and 3 or 3 and 4, and especially during five. But in season one, he doesn't really change that much. He's still mostly the same guy at the end. I mean, yeah, he's changed a little bit, but really, like into season two, he changes a ton. Actually, I think season two might be the worst season because they pulled off a they had this running cliffhanger going throughout the entire season, and then the payoff was horrible. But characters really did change a lot, and they make it very believable, and it's just a very good show. Yeah, you should definitely watch it when you get a chance.
Yeah.
I watched the entire series in like a week. I think I watched like 3 or 4 episodes a day.
Hmm.
Um, but that was like I think I was like a sophomore or a freshman, so I didn't have like much going on at all.
I think
Uh,
now I'm going to be able to watch more and do more. Like the only reason I feel like I'm glad I decided to do this podcast with you now is because we're about to head to the summer, which
mhm,
gives us a lot of time to work and refine it so we can build a rhythm before we have to like add other stuff to our lives. So,
definitely.
so right now my time is about to be like my own soon, and it's getting to the point where the only thing that's restricting me from doing stuff is essentially like either my lack of tools or poor scheduling or just like scheduling, issues.
Yeah, that's our main problem is scheduling. Like we started to record the podcast yesterday, but my internet started dying and a bunch of other stuff happened, so you probably
Or
never hear that section unless Yjang does some magic. So yesterday we started to talk about the shooting that happened in Texas,
mhm.
and we're talking about how we both think that the media really contributes to this sort of increase in mass shootings in America, and how the media sort of makes profit off of it by saying who the person was, where, like, not what did they do, but like why did they do it? They interviewed the family, they interviewed the people. Like, Echan was telling me how about the YouTube shooter. They immediately went to the father who had just learned that his daughter was dead, and they go, "Why did she do it? Blah blah blah. Tell us everything about her." And he's still grieving, and that's at least in my book very dis like disrespectful.
You know,
Um,
it's one thing
but
I gotta say. I'm kind of like, here's one line I hear all the time whenever there's a shooting. It's like we're stronger than this, and we'll get over this. We just need some time to grieve, but we're stronger and better than this, and we don't want to be remembered as the school that got shot up.
mm,
I hear that a lot, and not to say that isn't important, but there's two things I kind of don't like about it. And people are going to probably hate me for this, but here's one thing. For one, I really hate the line because when people say we're stronger than this, it's not to say that isn't true, but it kind of demeans the fact that there's actual grieving and suffering. And it's kind of like, oh,
mm,
don't worry, they'll get over it. It's all fine. I mean, sure, they're going to let them cry it out, but they'll be back at it again. And at the same time, it kind of like negates the point of how momentous this is on their lives. And the fact that I hear it so much is kind of like a soundbite that they're expected to say.
well, I think people say that more as like a unifying thing, honestly. Like they're saying we're stronger than this. Don't be sort of stuck in it. Like, yeah, I know grieving is hard. Definitely, people definitely need time in that. But I think they're saying don't be stuck in it. Don't let this shooting define your life, or don't let it hold you in the past.
Well, I
And I
think they're
think that's
saying it
definitely
too.
a good message to push. But I can definitely see your point of view saying it's kind of disrespectful and stuff like that.
Well,
But yeah, I can see your point of view, but I still think people. I don't think it's m- malicious.
no, I don't
I
think it's
should say.
malicious. I think this is something they should say to the people, like in their own school. I totally am behind that. But my question is when they say it to people on the news reporter that's going to be saying it on national news, it's like, who are you saying this to? Maybe you're saying it to other victims that have gone through this. But at the same time, it's kind of like, how should I say? It feels like the effort, like your opportunity that you're talking about, is being misdirected. If you want to use that time to talk on national news, it's not to say that what you're saying isn't important, but my thing is, like, do you have something to say outside of what, you will get over this, or you can get over it. I'm not doubting that. But what do you have to say now that this event has happened to you? What do you plan to do with your life now?
Yeah, so you just don't really like the platitudes, basically.
Yeah, I think it's just the context of what he said. Not the context, the place of where he's saying it in time. Because you have the ability to say, maybe that, you know what we need to do? We need to add more cops in school to protect us, or we need to get rid of guns to keep guns out of shooters, or you can just say anything, really. But whenever I hear, like, we will get over this, we are stronger than this, I'm not saying that they can't say it to their own people or, like, their own, like, school. Have at it. Have a speech for them or say it to their own people. But when I hear it on the national news, it's kind of like, okay, what do you plan on doing? I mean, that's nice and all, but it's not like I feel anything.
Yeah,
Or
and
I'm
I think
cold.
yeah, I think that's a problem as well. The sort of unfeelingness that a lot of people have gotten for the shootings, like recently. Have you seen This Is America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is really its big message of people could just move on from all these shootings nowadays. And side note, I don't really like the music too much in that song. I don't really like trap too much. It's kind of meh.
I
Go ahead.
wasn't so much care. I didn't really care so much about the trap because the genre is like whatever. That's fine. Gambino has done trap before, so whatever.
Yeah, and I
My
think some of his other stuff's better.
I cared mostly about the video because the song itself, when I hear it, is like okay, but when I see the video, it's like the video is the artwork. The song is like the vehicle.
Yeah, definitely. The like without the video, the song isn't that great, but the video really like wow, that pushes it over, you know?
Yeah. One of the things I love, one of my favorite lyrics in it was like, um, you might be like say like why is this your favorite lyric, but it's the fact that they said don't catch you slipping though, because one of the I'm not too sure if people understood it, but one of the things that don't catch you slipping means is like don't don't give anyone a reason to shoot you. Like keep in line, don't say anything controversial, don't get into anyone's way, and if you're under the radar, you'll live. Don't try to be special. Don't try to cause any attention, or you'll get shot.
It's definitely a interpretation of that line. I saw it more of as like a connector between his sort of verses, the sort of bridge. But I definitely see where that's coming from. I'm not too well versed in slang and all that. I mean, I know my fair share. I wasn't, well, I still am in high school technically.
Yeah,
Um,
you don't know your slang. What kind of high schooler are you?
yeah, I know. Believe me, I know the basic stuff, but I'm not too deep in that.
I don't
But
blame
yeah,
you.
yeah, I think the video really pushes a decent message. Um, yeah, and I thought it was good overall, besides the music. And also, why did he not have a shirt on the whole time? That was just a bit like,
Oh, the
why?
well, there's two reasons from what I saw, like in the interpretations from like historians. One thing was like to model a
Historians.
Jim Crow, and also the for two like one was to model Jim Crow with the attitude and also the way he was like portraying as like a black stereotype that old racists that used to portray black people in the media. There was also another thing that people were trying to say. This was kind of like his way of like, hey, I don't care about anything anymore, so I'm just gonna just dance with the madness. Like that's the reason why he took
Hmm.
off his shirt. There was a lot of interpretations to it, but also was to bring attention to his chains. Some people said that the chains were to represent obsession with money and at the same time slavery to the system.
So to get onto a very controversial topic, because you brought up slavery in the system and all that, what do you think of Kanye's recent developments?
Slavery is a choice.
Yeah, that sort of whole thing.
I mean, here's the thing about Kanye. Obviously, when I think about him, I don't take necessarily what he says seriously because I don't really have a respect for him as like a thinker. But one of the
Mm,
things I have accepted with Kanye since I was like 11 is that the guy is basically a stream of consciousness, you know?
mm,
So I don't think that when now there might be I'm not too sure if he has doubled down on what he said before because he might have because he's the kind of person that is really prideful, so he doesn't like to say that he messed up. He just meant it this way, and you guys are
mm.
just not ready to experience it that way. But I think with Kanye is that he didn't really mean that slavery was a choice. He just kind of let
Yeah,
it slip out, like whenever a YouTuber says like a racist word, it's not like they actually believe it. It
PewDiePie.
was just something that just like, oh, whoa, I didn't expect that
Yeah.
to come out.
Hmm.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he meant like actual slavery, sort of like the slaves. I think he meant slavery in the terms of like thought, possibly. I mean,
Mhm.
he's a very enigmatic person. He's very hard to understand because, like you said, he is basically just a stream of consciousness. But how I kind of saw it, because him saying slavery itself was a choice is completely stupid, and I don't think he's a stupid person. I don't think he would have gotten this far if he was dumb.
I don't
Um,
think he's dumb. I just don't. I don't respect his like the way he delivers his messages.
yeah, he does it very boldly, but I think that's also sort of for the publicity, you know. I think a part of this entire thing is him trying to get back into the public spotlight for his new album or something like that, you know. But I
Well, he does
also
it
do
well.
think, yeah, but I don't think he's the type of person who would lie
No, no.
to sort of push that. I think he's just revealing things that he wouldn't have otherwise, like his like for Trump and all that. But like I was saying, I think his sort of slavery is a choice rhetoric is sort of like saying slavery to thought, how black people a lot of times in America
No, it would
are
be like
treated one
slavery
way.
as a choice is like the equivalent of the Mexicans just want to be deported.
What do you mean?
Well, it'd be slavery as a choice is kind of like the same way you would say like Mexicans just want to be deported. That's why they come here.
I don't think it's what he's saying. I mean, I don't think
Well, I mean,
he's.
like the same. It's like not saying that's the same thing. I'm saying it's the kind of stuff that's like okay, you might be meaning in some kind of other way, but the way you're portraying your message
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
look
he
good
he
on you.
definitely said it completely
He
like
might have meant
stupidly. It
he
was
might have said
terrible.
something completely like in the same context of what I just said. He might have said something, maybe legitimate claim against like immigration, or maybe he might have said something against black people attitudes in America. He might have
Hmm.
tried to describe something like actual legitimate criticism, but at the same time, the way he says it and the way he like doesn't really. I think the problem with Kanye is that I think he could be a very good thinker if he would actually just stop and think for like 5 seconds before he
Oh yeah,
says anything.
definitely. Yeah, he doesn't think when he speaks. You
If
know.
he were to give himself like
He,
5 seconds to pause before he says a phrase, I think people would respect Kanye much more.
hmm.
Like it's like
Definitely.
for almost anything, even like the Grammys, is like, ooh, I'm not too
Yeah,
sure if
exactly.
I should go ahead and ruin Taylor Swift's moment right here. Let me just say how I approve of her music, but I'll talk later to the publicity that I think someone else should have won.
Well, as I stated before, I think that sort of boldness really pushed him out into the wider, what's the word, audience, basically. Because he does all these things that no one else would do, he gets a lot more publicity for it, and therefore he became more popular. I think that definitely works for him, but in a situation like this, that boldness is his ruin, you know.
Well, I think we're kind of rewarding bad behavior. We used to reward bad behavior beforehand, but now we're kind of like really cracking down.
I think it more comes down to like partisanship because I mean I'm on the right and like everyone over here, at least most people are like, oh yeah, Kanye did a cool thing because he's going against the sort of idea that black people have to vote Democrat, which works in the right's favor, while the left is seeing it as sort of like, oh no, he's sort of joining the other team, which I don't like partisanship personally.
I mean, that seems kind
Um,
of a dumb thing to like say. Like the reason why, like, look, if Kanye wanted to say that Trump is my best friend, then I'm like, well, okay, Kanye, that's cool, that's fine. But I agree, Jeffrey. When people are like, oh, "You joined a different tribe, Kanye? I thought you were on my tribe." It's kind of
mhm.
like, tribalism is pretty helpful in organizing something, but is really terrible at just cooperating in general. I
Mm,
mean, if we could just harness the power of tribalism, but at the same time remove all this competitiveness and infighting to create like fake, totems to go against,
sounds
like
like a utopia to me.
then that sounds like the best version of humanity. Like, hey guys, we can collectively organize to do something without having to go against one type of ideology or some kind of random thing.
Yeah, that probably will never happen because tribalism without those components isn't really tribalism anymore.
Yeah, what
Um,
a dream.
yeah, yeah, and I personally I think people searching for utopias end up doing the like worst things. I mean, look at Stalin, look at Hitler, look at most people of that type. They end up doing the worst things because they're trying to do something good in their own eyes. But to get back onto Kanye, um,
The West
yeah, I
Dream.
think, huh? What was that?
Let's get back to the West world.
I don't know what that is.
No, but
Oh
I was
yeah,
make I was
Kanye
making a
West.
joke.
I'm sorry, I'm mentally challenged. Um, yeah, I think part of it is the publicity. I think part of it is he doesn't think. But I don't think it's the downfall of his career. I think he'll definitely bounce back.
No. Here's one thing I was wondering. Like, I know everyone's done with the Oprah Winfrey thing, but who do you think's gonna try to be the 2020 representative for your party and for the Republicans and then Democrats? I wonder.
I really hope that no celebrities run, because I really hate that a lot. Because I think someone should have at least some experience in the government before they run for the highest office in the land. Like I really didn't like Trump being the Republican runner, because well I don't like the man personally. I think he's a bit of a scumbag. Um, but well, side tangent. A lot of the people on the right sort of excused it as, oh well, was just as bad, or oh Hillary was just as bad, blah 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 blah. But I think, as you sort of said before, it's like rewarding bad behavior. And if I could have voted, I wouldn't have voted for either of the main running candidates personally.
Same here.
Um, but for the Republican 2020, I don't know. Without saying my own political beliefs too hard of who I would like to see to run, who I think will run will be definitely Trump.
Oh,
He'll try to
dude.
run for another term. He might face a bit of trouble in his own party from people like Rand Paul, probably not Cruz. He sort of backed down, but yeah,
Cruz got
mostly just
castrated, man.
yeah, yeah. Wish he had stood up a bit more. Um, what's it called? But for the Democrats, I would definitely see them running a celebrity like Oprah or something like that because there's
Oh,
huge like appeal there. But I also do see someone like Sanders coming back, pushing farther left towards like socialism.
I would see
And
I forget her name.
what
she's
the
not
like
Nancy
Green Party?
Pelosi. She was the other one. Starts with a W.
Uh,
Hello there,
I don't know. They're
listener.
all so old.
After that brief
I don't
Yeah,
even care
description
about
of
them.
politics and
let's just
people,
say,
could you
I don't
guess
know.
today's mystery
It was a certain
politician?
person that was like
Well, if you
next
guessed
to
Elizabeth
Hillary
Warren, you're
Clinton.
correct.
Everyone thought that she was going to
Congratulations,
run,
you deserve
but she
yourself a
didn't.
pat on the back and a nice
Yeah,
sip of juicy
I know
juice.
who
If
you're
you didn't,
talking about. I
well,
just don't
you're
remember their
uncultured
name.
swine, so get off this podcast. Anyway, back to the show.
Yeah, like they definitely couldn't run someone like Hillary again because I mean, I'm a Republican myself, but her campaign was pretty horrible. Like I think it was run very, I don't know, not that good. And by every right, she should have won, honestly, because she was the more well maintained candidate. She wasn't as crazy.
I think the one
Or
thing about Hillary I can respect out of anything is that I would feel like, okay, we have someone who actually knows what she's getting into.
I mean, I think she's pretty slimy.
Yeah, she knows what
Um,
she's not the person I trust, but she knows what positions that she's going for.
Yeah, and she actually has like experience in that. And I mean, Trump has done, I guess, an okay job so far. I mean, if these talks with North Korea actually go through, which I don't think they will, but if they
If he
do,
kills,
then that's definitely going to be a huge plus for him.
I have a question. Okay, let's make an imaginary situation where the talks go through, North Korea signs a deal, and peace starts to form between South Korea and North Korea. Let's just go
Mhm.
with the hypothetical. Do you think that Trump will honestly be regarded as like one of the most effective presidents of the past like 30 years, or like get a Nobel Peace Prize or something like that?
No, I think the president of South Korea would get all the praise, honestly, because the media around the world seems to really dislike Trump a lot. And I mean, yeah,
He
he
has good
does have a lot
reason
of
too.
flaws. Yeah, I know that, but even then, like the things that he does well, they still try to say is bad or take away his credit, you know. So I think the president of South Korea would get the praise in
President
that
Moon
way.
2020 to the moon.
His name is Moon.
Yeah, President Moon.
Is it spelled Moon?
Yes,
Oh,
last
odd
name is
name.
Moon.
Huh. At least
Koreans
it's
have
not
really
Spanish.
cool names, man. Like first name definitely sounds Korean, but then you get to the last names like I don't know, like it might be Shung Jingwo Kim or Shung Jingwo Park.
Let me just look up famous Koreans and see their last names.
Yeah, there's a lot of them have like
Uh,
really American or like a really like Western last names or something like that.
Lee. No, God, I'm gonna butcher this. By Byung Hun, Song Hee Kyo, Margaret Cho, Sandra Oh. It's literally just OH. Um, yeah, those names are interesting. Of course, the most famous one is Psy because of his
Yeah,
famous song.
Woppa
Honestly, like looking back at that song, it was pretty terrible. But
Woppa
when
Gangnam
I was
Style.
like, yeah, when I was like 13, it was great.
But remember, the thing about Gangnam Style wasn't that the song was good; it was the music was fun, and it kept you like, "Whoa, yeah, this is great. I like it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was very peppy. Yeah.
yeah." Oh, here's the way I hear it most of the time: Kim, Lee, Park, Song
Park.
Park is a yeah Park Chang Wook, Korean
Huh.
film director, screenwriter. Who else? Kim Ji Won,
Mm.
South Korean film director. Nelson Shin, animation
Mm.
director. Well, these are all animation direct. Huh. Oh, I'm looking at
God,
the. Let's look at business people. Okay, David Chang. Let's
that's a good last name.
yeah. Lee Kun Hee.
Mm. Bit complicated.
Let's see. Daniel Day Kim.
Mm.
See, like you see the names, and then you got obviously the ones that are like Song Joong Ki, Song Hye Kyo, Jung
Mm.
Ji Hyung, and Jang Ke Suk,
Mm.
and Gong Yu.
Yeah, those are definitely like really. Oh, I can hear myself from your side.
Oh wait, I actually know Gong Yu.
Huh?
I actually seen this guy before. And it was a TV show and a K drama. It was pretty good.
K drama?
Korean drama.
Um,
I mean, one of the things I had done when I was like 14, I used to watch like a lot of telenovelas. I used to watch.
Well,
what was it?
listener, if you could guess from my description, that was
why am I forgetting
completely
it?
photorealistic, absolutely intelligible, and up to the mark.
It's the daytime.
You know, I was talking about the Young
It's the
and the Restless.
daytime television.
It was a popular daytime show.
Soap opera?
It's a soap opera. Yeah,
in
I'm forgetting
America.
it. Why am I forgetting it?
And when I think about that show now, it's not bad, but as a 14-year-old young boy that had nothing to do on a weekday, particularly during the summer, and I didn't have access for the internet for some unknown reason, The Young and the Restless would be my go-to if there wasn't any game shows around. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. A lot of baby daddies, a lot of betrayals, murder, a lot of cancer, deaths, people, a lot of, Michelle, how could you do this to me? And you wouldn't understand. And, people. Oh, the one thing about The Young and the Restless, I gotta say. First, I didn't feel that any of it made any sense, or I didn't understood who they're trying to market this to. Maybe they're trying to market The Young and the Restless to a person who can only dream to have such a rich life. Because when I think about it, I was like, how the heck do these people get into these stupid situations? These make no sense. And yet, all the people were rich, or they had some kind of rich estate, or they had a really rich uncle or grandfather, or just a father, and everyone was good looking. No one was average. No one was poor. Poverty was forbidden. It was a really odd show. And I'm not too sure if they still are continuing, because really, there really isn't a story, at least to my definition of what a story is, that I care about. So, do I really care about The Young and the Restless? No. Is it okay? I guess. Would I recommend it? Not really. I think there's way better stuff on the internet now than there was 4 years ago. But beyond that, I would say that if you're looking to indulge yourself into some really bad writing and want to find something to just eat some popcorn and just get comfortable and watch people go through their weird and overly dramatic, sexy antics, go watch The Young and the Restless. And if that's not for you, maybe The Days in Our Lives, I think that was another one. So yeah, go ahead and watch it. Or if you're cool, you can watch K-dramas like Coffee Prince. Yeah, Coffee Prince. That was the guy that I referenced in the earlier part of the episode. So yeah, go watch Coffee Prince. That's actually pretty cool. You want to hear a good story? I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'm making a tangent within a cut, within an edit, inside of another tangent. The point about Coffee Prince was that the story sets you into this really interesting place in South Korea, where we have a young girl that looks like a tomboy. That said, she gets hired at this really rich guy's new coffee shop that he has to prove to his parents that he's a responsible adult to own his own business and not get shipped off to America. Which, honestly, the situation didn't sound that bad. But beyond that, he also was getting engaged to this really hot and also really rich young girl. But as he works at the coffee shop, the young girl that's working there actually pretends to be a guy because Coffee Prince only allows males to be the staff. Even though everyone else, except for the owner, knows that the girl is a girl and not a boy. Except for the owner for some reason. That said, because of this, the owner feels an attraction for the girl, but this attraction is also really complicated because he thinks this girl's a boy. And because of that, he thinks that he's continuously getting really, really gay. And during the end of the last time I saw it, the guy was really considering, like in the shower, is he gay? And he had to push her away because he wasn't comfortable with these feelings that he didn't want to be gay, because for some reason he was attracted to this one young guy out of all the girls he has met. And he feels like, oh no, this is it. This is the reason I couldn't connect with other women. It's not because that I'm a bad person or that I'm, very finicky or I'm just have a short fuse or I have a bad temper. I've been gay this entire time. And that was so funny. But also, it's a pretty good drama. So, yeah, don't watch Young the Restless. Go watch Coffee Prince. If I haven't sold you on that, well, do what you want to do. It's your life. But since we're done with that, let's get back to the show.
Okay, but moving on from this point, I'm gonna get to something I've been wanting to talk about, which is meme theory.
All right.
Let me just clear my throat real quick. So I talked to Yjang about this a while ago, how looking at modern memes, well, there has to be a differentiation here. The memes that you see mostly on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, they're very old. They're like kind of out of date, sort of behind the times. And places like Reddit, like 4chan, and other places like that, they're more of the generators of these new forms of memes. While those other places kind of just distill it down to more of a I know, oh, blah 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 blah, he's stupid, the sort of like normie or normal level. Like if I showed someone like the memes that I think are funny, they'd probably be like, why is this funny to you? Because it's very meta, it's very much sort of an inside joke. Um and that's why I kind of compare it to art in a way, because all these new forms of memes are very they're sort of pushing the boundaries of good taste. They're pushing the boundaries of what a meme can be. Because memes have been around since basically the founding of the internet. They first started just sort of just like, oh, people can relate to this, or oh, they'll find that funny, like that famous picture of that little kid with the sand in his fist, and there's some sort of color behind him. It's like, oh, there's text on the top, text on the bottom,
Yep.
and people are like, "Oh, that's funny. Oh, I relate to that." And then as things went on, people sort of kind of like in art movements, the sort of modern art movement where it's basically taking the old art and kind of making fun of it in a certain way, where you take the things that you used to like and you sort of push them further. Meme with free software in like at most like an hour, and you'll get a ton of likes and stuff like that for it. Because there's no scarcity, it's going very, very, very fast. It's been a little over a decade. Well, not little over. It's been like almost 2 decades at this point that the internet has been up, and we're already at this sort of postmodern phase where the memes that I enjoyed 5 years ago are completely different from what I enjoy today. Because it's going that fast. Like I wish this was a visual medium, but everyone remembers those sort of rage comics with the stick figures from like 5 or 6 years ago, and now everyone looks back at those and they're not funny. Well, people on Facebook, or God forbid, like iFunny, might find those entertaining, but like I said, they're sort of behind the times. But most people don't seem as funny anymore, and they've moved on. One bad thing about the general rise in popularity of the internet, and I have a perfect example for this, is memes die a lot faster than they did years ago.
There's a
Um,
half life.
Definitely, definitely. Like if you look at, say, Rick rolling from the golden age, back in the
Oh,
day, that is still kind of around. That thing took years to finally be stop being funny. But if you look at like earlier this year with Uganda Knuckles, that took like a few days to die. It started up as this meme on VR chat, and then a few days later it was completely dead. And yet you see a lot of people on Facebook and places like that still using it because they don't understand that it's dead. But that is unprecedented levels of meme death speed. and it's kind of worrying because memes are going to have to get more meta and more obscure to stick around, but that means less people will actually see them and care about them, you know? And yeah, I want more people to see this stuff that I enjoy, but also I kind of don't because I think that there's a big shift coming, the next sort of era, and I think this sort of um, ironic or maybe even post-ironic phase is coming to an end, and there's something else coming, and I don't know what it is, but that's why I basically say that memes are kind of like art. It's because it's kind of like the art movement. I'm not an art historian or
Well,
anything.
here's
But
one thing that I remember, like in my one time in an art class. Before there was something called art where it was like objectively funny, like in not like not objectively funny, but objectively graded. So like faces used to be graded high art because those were the hardest to make. Landscapes used to be pretty good, but then eventually once you had pictures, you know, a new technology kind of rolls it over and just changes everything to like, okay, well then, what is now rare, and
mm,
I think with memes it becomes something like the more rare it is, the funnier it is because of
mhm.
how meta it is. So in the
Yeah, yeah.
beginning, there was like relatability used to be like the metric of what used to be funny. For
Mm,
example, like exhibit memes that talk about, hey man, I put a package plan in your package plan so you can add an extra package in your plan. You know, those are kind of like the funny things. Like, oh, I remember doing a TV package. They're so complicated. So you know,
mm,
it was relatable. And even then, it's like, there's still memes today. Like when your girl finishes on your nut or stuff like that. Stuff that's like really gross, but then again, everyone has more or less been through. That's
mm,
funny, but it's only funny in the sense that you've done it before, or you know what it
mm.
means. And then
Yeah.
now, like, or example, like, douchebag Doug, or whoever that guy was. Remember,
Yes. Yeah, I remember that.
where it's like, oh, I know a guy who does that, or I know a person, or my sister's like that. But now it comes to the point where it's like, the meme is not about relatability, because that used to be the metric. Because relatability is not important anymore when everyone knows what it's like to be in the situation, since we're all connected.
Yes, something like this. What I'm saying to you now, like I
Yeah.
just found this. It's
So
like
what we have here
relatable
is like
humor is
really,
still around.
this is like a meme where like 2004, 2000 like 10, 2014 would have been like acceptable good meme. When you have
Mm-hmm.
$5 in your bank account but you're about to get paid tonight, they have Mr. Krabs, laying on a whole pile of money. That's a kind of that's a good meme that used to be like I'm like that. But then we have new
Mm-hmm.
memes that what we call
Like this.
like this one was called meatloaf that's really deep fried, and then we have something called I think it's Veet loaf,
No, it's yeet loaf,
yeet loaf, and there's nothing funny about it because like
but
look, there's
but it's
like
still funny.
objectively in a sense of like if we're using relatability as our metric, this falls like so terribly bad because and here's the reason why because there's nothing relatable at it like meatloaf looking the way it is deep fried doesn't look anything that you've seen in your normal life and then
Mm-hmm.
Veetloaf is like what is Veetloaf, what is
It's yeet loaf.
Yeet
Get it
Loaf,
right.
what is Yeet Loaf, what is any of this. The only thing that's somewhat relatable is the emojis that you sometimes use during your text messages, and this is
Yeah,
where I
but
think that you are like hinting at where it became very it was first ironic, but now it's kind of post ironic, where we used to
mhm.
use emojis as a sense of like, huh, look how ironic. I'm using a laughing, crying emoji, even though there's nothing funny about this, just to make it funny, or like when girls used to do like a laughing, crying emoji over
Mhm.
like random text messages that are not really funny in any way. And I think this is what deep fried memes and really obscure memes try to do
Mhm.
is that essentially I'm sorry, that last meme was pretty good. I swear I let my
It,
kids
it
use
was it
it.
was pretty good, yeah.
And essentially, like the memes today have become to a point where you can't make it funny except by using a proven metric, which is how obscure can you make it. And I think that's what deep fried memes to me is. because the more inner circle and elitist you are in the meme, community, the funnier it is, because it's kind of like how Pepe's used to be rated. You remember how Pepe's used to be like traded about what is a really rare Pepe, like a golden, glittery rare Pepe used to be like worth like actual money for you to pay with. And essentially, when I think about deep fried memes, it's kind of like that, only that instead of paying people with money, we're paying people with shares and upvotes, because that's considered more valuable than cash.
Yeah. At least in some ways, yes.
Because, like, it's not so much about the money or recognition, but about how far can you take the medium. And I think that's what deep fried memes is like. I don't necessarily participate in deep fried memes, but I find it interesting as of like, where can the future of memes go? But my biggest worry about deep fried memes is that it's so stuck in its own obscurity that it kind of fails to innovate.
Yeah, and I mean the most innovation that we've gotten recently is sort of going further into this obscurity, like with this whole rise of E and all that sort of thing, where it's just literally an image that someone made of Markiplier and Lord Farquaad with E on it is now funny. There's no joke there at all, other than the actual like Markiplier Farquaad thing.
And it's mostly referential value.
Yeah, it's sort of making fun of what deep fried memes are. And that's why I said I think something is coming, because it's sort of it's looping, it's sort of stuck in its own world. Well, I think something greater is coming to push it on. And I think what's coming is sort of the normalization of memes. Because like if you look at art movements, past postmodernism is sort of I believe it's called like meta modernism or something to that degree, where they take postmodernism and make it normal, where it's sort of like actual regular people can enjoy it because they change it back to, it's like fusing modernism and postmodernism into one thing. And I think that's what's coming, where people will actually find these sort of obscure, weird, funny, because they'll change it a bit to make it more normal. And I don't really want that to happen, because I enjoy my little bubble of weirdness.
I think
it's a way to sort of like I express myself a little bit through making these things.
But I think the reason why, I think here's the biggest reason why I think deep fried memes and all the meme community has to remain obscure in order to innovate, is because it's kind of like where I always like to think the meme community is like the episode of SpongeBob, Rip Pants, where it has to be funny the first time to a small group of people, and then eventually the value of the joke becomes diluted due to a larger market share, thereby causing the value of the joke in question to become less valuable. And because of that, we have to innovate, otherwise we're stuck with a joke that loses commodity over time. So
definitely,
with memes, it's a really hard cycle, because essentially it's what's the word that people used to call when the America and the USSR, arms race. Essentially an arms race to find the perfect new topic in meme universe to be funny, because without without a perfect arms race among people, which luckily the internet provides because it puts people against each other to find what's funny or not, then memes stay stagnant. But at the same time, the only reason they stay stagnant is because how diluted they get over time, which is why I say memes have become to have a half-life that's smaller and smaller each year.
Definitely, yeah.
And I think there could be an equation I would like to say. Not to say this is the exact equation, but a meme's half-life could be divided by the amount of users present in a network.
Possibly. Definitely, yeah, that's definitely an option, but like I said, this sort of race to find the new thing, I think eventually has to end. Kind of like how the Cold War ended. One side is eventually going to win.
But who are the players though in this?
I think the sort of players, I think there's definitely a few different players. There's the people who make very obscure things that you have to be sort of in a group to understand. So I'd probably put myself in that group. You'd kind of have to grow up with the memes to kind of understand it, to sort of see the evolution of it. You have the people above like 30 who don't really understand, and they'll usually use memes like the one I just sent you. That sort of ancient type, and they're always way behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the more sort of like normal crowd. Then you have the sort of in betweens who would post things to. Let me go find an example.
Like Twitter, Reddit.
Yeah, like most of the other types of people who post memes, the sort of more, oh, this is semi relatable, but also kind of an inside circle,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um,
It's enough to get your friends in, but nothing to put your whole family in.
like I think the majority of people fall in that one and the sort of older crowd, and I think they're eventually gonna win out because of just the pure numbers, Um, but that was meme theory.
Well, but here's
Um,
your thing. Here's my thing, Jeffrey. To make a lasting impact onto this episode, how would you define the half life or the longevity of a meme? And what do you think you can is it possible to extend the life of a meme? Because I want to know if it's something that we've seen. Because here's one thing I believe. Like, look at the is this a blank meme? You know, with the butterfly meme.
yeah, I got one right here.
So
Mhm.
here's the thing about it. I have seen that meme since 2014, but it started to build traction now.
Mhm.
And the reason is because, like, as a person who's been in the anime community, this has been something that you would just, pop up sometime one day or another. But
Mhm.
only now has become, normalized due to, like, the obscure culture trying to pick anything for a new meme.
Mhm. Yeah, like the one I sent you, I pulled from me IRL on a Reddit,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably the most, I don't know, sort of normal of the Reddit ones, besides like God forbid funny or dank memes or something.
Yeah, dank memes, I realized it was just really normal memes after, like, a couple weeks in it.
Yeah, but the sort of like how can you define when a meme dies is honestly when it gets at least to me, a meme loses its funniness when it gets extremely popular.
But I have a
Like look at
question.
Ugandan Knuckles. Like that's not funny because it got extremely popular.
But what happens if a meme dies in popularity? Can it ever resurrect into its community?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
How?
Like I sort of post irony, sort of making fun of its popularity. And after it fully dies and the normal crowd gives up on it, kind of like Ugandan Knuckles is actually fully dead at this point, then it can be funny again, sort of making fun of how popular it was. For example, I find the dab actually kind of funny now because when it was very popular, I started doing it like ironically to just mess with my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I would dab at him, and we would both sort of cringe a little bit and laugh because of how terrible it was.
Yeah.
But now I'll just do it at him, and we'll both laugh because it's a joke. Because it's fully dead by now. Only like old people or those completely out of touch use it now, and I find that funny for some reason. That
But
sort of post irony, you
so
know.
is it like can we say that memes are like a cycle, or is there a definite death?
I think it depends on case by case. Like, for example, never gonna give you up. That song, like Rick Rolling,
That would
has
be a cycle.
had yeah, it waxes and wanes in popularity, but it's in this sort of undeath where it's such a legend that it refuses to fully die. Um, what's it called?
It's
And I
more
know some
like
people who
it's kind of like having a sword, like a family sword. Like you
yeah,
could,
kind of like an heirloom. Yeah.
you can't get rid of it because it's been in the family forever.
I mean, it's old and rusty and pretty terrible, but it's still there. It's sort of the pillar of when memes started to become more popular.
Hey, Jeffrey. Oh, reliable.
Yep, definitely. Yep, that's it right there.
I need to do a Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Reliable.
What was I saying? Oh yeah. Memes can definitely come back, and if they're a cycle, I think somewhat. Like some memes, like the last year, the "What in Tarnation" meme, just completely died, and I don't see it coming back.
What incarnation?
Yeah, it doesn't really have the staying power to ever come back. It needs to be, I don't know.
Okay,
like
so dabs, can dabs come back, or is it like too? Is it not?
I think in small circles it can. It'll never reach the popularity it once had, definitely.
So it's
And
like Bitcoin.
probably not even as popular as that. What I'm saying is that in this sort of meme like inner circle community, I know that sounds really like elitist.
Yeah, I mean we're all talking about really elite topics right here.
Yeah,
High quality.
Get out, normies.
Hey, you're ruining the. I don't want that to just be. I really hope it's not just like the what pseudo elitist that just comes to this podcast. That was.
I really hope we have some like 80-year-old grandmother. She's like, what are they talking about?
That's true. We need a grandma's in this. Tangent Podcast loves grandmas.
Mm-hmm. Well, most of them, not all of them. Some are pretty bad, but hey.
We do volunteer work.
yeah. But
describing your grandson's Twitter account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But some could definitely come in cycles. But I think it takes a good amount of effort. Like this sort of community has to try to resurrect it. Like the dab has sort of become post-ironic because of how popular it was, and the more popular something has become in the actual like media, the more likely it is to be resurrected as this sort of Frankenstein meme.
Okay, I have another question. So I still have fidget spinners, not because I got it out of irony, but I got it mostly because it was essentially a toy that became a meme.
Yeah, like my my grandma gave me a fidget spinner for Christmas last year, and it actually made me laugh because it was already dead by that point.
Yeah, but it's like,
but it was pretty funny, and I still have it in my car.
Yeah,
I tried to destroy it. I threw it around my backyard because my brother got one as well, and it just wouldn't break. I put it under my car wheel and ran it over. It would not break. It will not die. So I just keep it in my car as like, I don't know,
a reminder.
If I ever need to like stop a bullet, I'll know what to grab. But
you probably used up all your bullet saving material with that fidget spinner.
Yeah, I like ran
over and threw it across. That's kind of really hard to use it now.
Yeah. But fidget spinners, I don't know. They were very popular, but I don't see them making a comeback, honestly. I mean, they're sort of funny, but it's also just a toy, you know.
I think fidget spinners will be popular as memorabilia.
Yeah, definitely. In like maybe 10 years, something like that.
10 years.
Do you remember fidget spinners? It's kind of like people like, do you remember Pogs?
Dude.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, I have to tell you something about, like 90s kids memes? Well, now it's becoming 2000s kids memes.
Oh my God, and I hate it.
It's so weird. It's like, wait, why are they talking about Avatar like it's a 90s thing? Like, and then I think about, oh wait, I'm almost 20 years old. That means everything like when it's like, hey, do you remember this? Is usually like 20 or 15 years old, or even a little bit older than that.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be like 15 to 25 years old for you to say like, hey, do you remember this when you were a kid? It's like, oh, I do. Let's go back on memory lane, like nostalgia. And it's super weird because like here's the really sad part, Jeffrey. Most of the stuff that they're talking about, like, hey guys, do you remember Nintendo Wii? I still play Nintendo Wii because I can't afford a Wii U.
Yeah. And people are like, do you guys remember the Xbox 360? I'm like, Jesus Christ, that was like 6 years ago.
I'm like, I still
Am I
play...
this old?
No, it's like, I'm using my Xbox 360 right now. What do you mean? This hurts me more as a person who's like a couple generations behind everyone in terms of like hardware or specs. Mm-hmm. But like, aside to my computers, it was just super weird. It's like, I love Avatar, The Last Airbender. I have a poster of Avatar, and you're telling me like
I'm an old guy because I still love this TV show. It's not even that old. But then I think about it, oh wait, that TV show aired in 2006.
Yeah, man, I can see kind of why people older than us don't like the kids, the like new generation, because as I'm leaving my teenage years and becoming quote unquote a adult,
We're not
looking,
adults.
yeah, I
We're
know,
just well, I like to call us young people before we call ourselves adults.
yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But looking back at kids that are like 7 or 8, I'm like, my God, I hope I was never like that.
Oh, it's kind of weird. It's like, are they technically part of our Like, okay, is your brother's definitely part of our generation, essentially?
No, I think my brother's born in Z because he was
No, he's Z.
2004. Yeah.
We're okay, but that's the thing. I think we're in Generation Z, essentially.
Huh? Hello?
Yeah, I think we're in
No,
Generation Z.
I think we're at the tail end of the millennials, honestly.
But here's the thing: is like I don't feel connected to the millennials.
I don't feel connected to either group.
Like, I don't know. I have to see the culture of Generation Z before I really make my decision, because we haven't really developed it yet outside of like the recent stuff like, Nene, fidget spinners, Pokemon Go. That's
Paul.
all. What?
Jake Paul, like the Paul brothers, are pretty big with Z so
God.
far. I know.
That's actually kind of sad.
I don't know. Like most millennials seem extremely like depressed about life, and I don't really agree with all that and all their sort of ideas. But I also don't agree with Z. It's like I don't know where I belong.
Like, well, I mean, I feel like if I had to pick a home, I guess I would pick Z.
Yeah.
Because the only reason I don't pick millennials is because I never got a fucking SNES. I never had any of the games that they had back then.
That's a bit arbitrary, but
it's like, or like I never had an N64.
One thing I think that really changes us from the millennials is that we weren't really like.
We never lived through 9/11. I think.
Yeah, I think
that's the biggest thing.
I was gonna say like alive, but we were alive. But
I think the only thing that has really hit me that I'm connected to millennials is the financial crisis of 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I really share, because 9/11 is like, I was in preschool. I don't remember anything.
Yeah, same. I was like, what, 2 or 3 years old at that point?
Yeah, so like, I don't care.
I mean, even if we were in like first or second grade, we would still like remember. We would.
Oh yeah, I would remember first, second grade what happened. But first and second grade was like 2 years after 9/11 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really care. The only thing that really affected me was the financial crisis, because I had to see a lot of my friends become poor, and my family hit hard. Definitely, that's what I really feel connected with millennials. But after that, it's like. That's the thing. That's the same thing that Generation Z has. So that's the reason I don't feel connected to millennials.
Well, Z was probably mostly kids at that point. Like Z probably starts about 2001, 2002, around there.
No, I would say they start around year 2000.
Maybe the very first, but most of Generation Z, because it's still going right now, was either a small child when the financial crisis started, or they weren't even born.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
so that's definitely something that I think most of them don't share. I think whatever is going to happen in the next few years, is what's going to be the first point that Z will share, whatever big event's coming.
Well, I think generations are just the way they're grouped up are kind of dumb. It should be like a 5-year thing instead of like a 15, 20-year thing.
I think it should be more like a decade thing.
Nah, because if it's a decade, then like if I was born in 2000 and then our kid's born in 2010. We're completely different.
Okay, so it should be the decade that you grew up in.
Okay, so like, decade you grew up in.
So basically, we would still be the 2000s generation because we grew up in that. We reached like 10 or 11 or 12 years old by 2010 or 2011.
Yeah, let me tell you this. I'm okay sharing a generation with...
In this clip, we reveal some information that we would not like to reveal, mostly about our real-life identities or where we live. and we don't want any of you to find us, so we're going to censor this.
I wouldn't be okay with sharing a generation with younger friends.
Yeah, definitely. Also, thanks for revealing my brother's name, but that's
you already
fine.
said your brother's name.
I did?
Yeah,
well,
your first brother's name. I never said your last names in the edits.
Yeah, well, you don't need to cut
I mean, it's a totally normal name. Come on, who's going to check that?
Yeah, it's biblical and all that.
Hey, if you're replying this in the future, tweet us at Tangent Podcast to tell us that your name is and that you're Jeffrey's long lost brother.
Great name, by the way, but it's not as good as. Also, make sure you spell it correctly. It's G-E-F-E. Every with R-E-Y is scum of the earth and needs to change their name. Okay, there you go. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, generations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're sort of in the middle, the sort of transition, because like you said, we're at the very tail end of the millennials. But if I had to choose, I would choose Gen Z because I share more with them. But I also really don't like Gen Z right now.
But I think that's what makes us part of it. It's like we have to lead Gen Z.
Yeah, maybe we're the like tail end of the millennials who have to lead Z, possibly.
Yeah, because it's like it makes like no sense to have Gen Z is like, oh, we're just gonna do it ourselves and figure it out. No one just becomes a generation. It's like, yeah, we'll figure it out. We have someone that's like an older brother that's like partially part of the past generation, but really part of yours.
They can understand both sides, you know.
It's kind of like it's like Robin and Nightwing.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, Robin's still part of Nightwing, but Robin could easily be part of the Batman generation.
Yeah, that's kind of a really terrible like analogy.
It is a terrible analogy.
I get
figure it. Okay, Jeffrey, you figure something else out on the top of your head. Let's go. Ooh,
I don't know.
It's kind of hard now, isn't it?
It is, but like, listen, yours was terrible. Okay, shut up.
Okay, I'm okay with that, but at least I made something.
Yeah, but I think generations, like in total, are kind of like a weird idea. I don't know when that started. I think it might have started with the Greatest Generation.
No, I think it just started in the 1950s. I think it just started in the 1950s and 60s when they needed some way to classify people, but they were too lazy to make something realistic. I think Adam Conover made a good video about, you know, how generations don't really exist. Adam Conover from Adam Ruins Everything.
Oh, that guy? Yeah, he's a real asshole. But yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of his stuff. He just seems kind of nitpicky.
I think that was the whole point of his persona.
Yeah.
I think that was the whole point of it. Like, and when I go through, you know, Adam's backlog and College Humor, he was more of like.
College Humor isn't funny, but that's me.
College Humor was funny when it was like before it got corporatized.
Even the earlier days weren't the best. I think Key and Peele was better in general.
No, I mean not that College Humor. I'm talking about the one like 2008 College Humor.
Yeah, I mean it was good, but looking back at it now, I don't find it funny. But in 2008, it was pretty good. Yeah. 2008,
2012 was like the high time.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good 4 years. And then I think, you know, a lot of good comedy came between 2010 and 2014.
Yeah, it was a pretty good, like, if, like, 2005, like, 2008 was the golden age, then 2011, 2010 to about 2014 was the sort of silver age.
Yeah,
you know?
Not even that, but you also have, like, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones came around this time. What else? What other good movies came around this time?
I don't know. I don't really watch TV or movies too much. What's it called? But yeah, like a bunch of stuff. I was mostly thinking like memes and sort of the internet.
Oh, the internet really took its own. It's really started to like showed its its whole future around that time.
Yeah, that's why I said 2005, 2008 was sort of the golden age because that's when things started. You know.
Yeah.
But that sort of silver age is where things came to fruition.
Remember when we used to see like Neon? I know Neon Cat's like so overplayed, but remember like the really like bad but funny like web animations you used to see on the internet?
What, like Newgrounds?
No, not even Newgrounds. I mean, like whenever you open up a web page and it was like 3D, like little animations and like
Oh
pixel
yeah,
art.
I remember that. It was so horrible.
It looks so bad, but when you look at it now, it's like, oh my god, this is so cute.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
like,
that's what people back then thought, but like, I don't know.
no, during the time it was kind of like, during the time it was kind of like sparkly, flashy, which is like, okay, this is kind of nice.
Mhm.
And then now when I look back on it, it's like, huh, that's actually kind of impressive that we got that far.
Okay, so I'm gonna change the topic here, and I'm gonna send you something, and you have to tell me your opinion about it.
Okay.
What do you think of this?
Oh my god, this is actually okay, Jeffrey.
This is a real debate.
No, Jeffrey, this is actually a real debate we have in the anime community. So, let me tell you this, and this is just not just anime community, but a lot of things. Honestly, now this when I heard about this debate, this came about when I watched this anime called Prison School, and the director, when he was trying to give him the chance, like, what do you love, ass or tits? And this is essentially that question. Now, I'm going to put this on the record that I think that butts are better than boobs.
Ah, a man of culture.
Now, I'm not saying that boobs are not good. I'm not saying that. And anyone that, wants to come at me and say that I'm against boobs or that I'm gay or something like that because I didn't pick boobs on your side, well, let me explain. It's not that boobs are bad at all. But as a person, I'm very utilitarian and function. And when you think about a person's butt, there are at least 10 things that you can do more with a butt that you can't do with boobs. You can dance around with someone's, a boob can go jiggle up and down. It can, look good in a shirt. It can be fun to play around with. But there's so much more possibilities you can do with boobs. I mean, well, not boobs, with butts that you haven't even, thought about. And not even that, but everyone has a butt. So there's like variance depending on like
equality.
If there's equality, exactly. There's equality and variance. Like if you're gay or if you're bisexual, you can do more with a person with the same sex than just another person of the opposite sex. There's just more you can do. And I mean, sure, it's like saying like, but then again, this is kind of like a question of like, Jeffrey, what do you think is better, dicks or boobs? And for different sexes and different people, that's going to be, like, hey, I prefer like boobs, or another person's going to say I prefer dicks. But there's one thing that everyone can agree on is that people can have really good butts. And that's why I think a small titties with a big booty is better than big titty with a small booty.
Actually, there's something better than both those, which is thighs.
Oh god dang, you haven't even brought that into the conversation. I'll admit, a well-defined thigh is something to like just drop your jaw, just let it hang on the floor.
Yeah, this is a very family-friendly podcast.
Family-friendly podcast. I don't know, I just think like in terms of like body parts, I think Domix made a video on like butts, just describing why they're basically the best things, like some of the best things about humans at all.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
What do you think, Jeffrey?
What do you mean?
What do you think? Actually, here's the problem. We have too many people from we think too much alike, Jeffrey. Sure, we might be different in the political stance, but we're thinking too similarly. Actually, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to be contrarian just for the sake of being contrarian. Boobs are great, okay? And here's a good reason why. For one, the good thing about boobs is that just looking at boobs, it makes a person smile. All right? There's one of the few things about a body part that makes people smile. It's one of the things that gives life into the world, that preserves life. They're great to look at. They can make anyone look really good. And on top of that, one of the best things about boobs, that when they're natural and they're good, is that no one can call crap on you. But with a butt, from what I understand, I might be wrong, because I'm not a plastic surgeon, but it's kind of easier to mess up fake boobs than it is to mess up a fake butt. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I think this all comes down to preference in the end, and it's going to be a eternal fight.
Oh, of course.
I just have my own preferences because I just find it more attractive if she has a bigger bottom than a bigger top. What was that?
Thick.
Oh, I thought you were yelling dick. And I'm
hey, I'm gonna have to censor that. I'm gonna censor that right there.
Censoring noise. Yeah, it's just my personal preference. And I mean, you can have your own. It's just mine. I prefer the bigger bottom.
I hope the comment section. I hope if anything that we. I hope this is the center of the comment section.
I really hope so.
Everything else, who cares? This has to be the most important debate out of everything we have said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't let it be about like, what do you think about Kanye? What do you think about North Korea?
No.
What do you think about memes? It's like no.
That's not important about your life. No one really cares about Kanye. Honestly, when I think about the news, nothing they say can really bother me, except for like net neutrality, because nothing that they say.
That's a whole debate we'll have for next episode.
We're gonna say that for next episode. I think the one thing about everything I hear about the news is like, I don't care. Nothing you say bothers me. Unless I'm going to get drafted to war, I really don't care. The only thing that really matters to me is this argument right here. Small titties with a big booty is better than big titties with a small booty. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the third option that someone chimes in, but what about thighs? I'm going to say, okay, that's nice, but that's not our conversation right now.
Yeah, this is between 2 points, not like...
You can't be the third party.
Yeah, listen, no third parties in this, okay?
No third parties, not in this debate.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be that one independent.
Yeah. I remember seeing like this meme. I think it was from an anime about how like the butt was like the first boobs or something like that. Because if you believe in like evolution and all that, like the butt came first, you know.
What did?
I don't know. Listen, it was a meme. It's stupid.
Well, it's not even that, but it's like, think about this. In anime, there's the concept of traps.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And that's why... But actually, here's
Okay, listen. Traps are gay, all right?
Okay. Now, I think that traps are gay, too. But at the same time, here's one thing that... When I heard about the trap argument, like whether traps are gay or not, it made me question the small titties with big booty argument. Because it's kind of like saying, oh, well, if you like... bigger. If you don't care about boobs, then butts. That means you're okay with traps, then.
Well, no. I mean, I still want the woman to have some boobs. Not like, I don't think I would be attracted. Sorry, to like a flat-chested woman. I mean, she has to have something there.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, listeners. Since I guess our demographic is probably going to be guys, because I really would be surprised if this is 90% women.
Mm-hmm. Very.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what, listeners. If I feel like the person looks like a woman and I don't feel like I'm looking at a child, then I'm like 9 times out of 10 going to be okay. Because the only thing I have, it's one thing I really have a problem with the anime community. I'm sick of the fact that I'm probably stuck with a bunch of potential pedophiles in the same genre of media I like.
Yeah, that's one thing where I don't really want to get into the sort of anime community. Which is I don't really watch too much anime.
You don't watch it. You're not deep into it, man.
Yeah,
but my biggest problem.
Like, I don't want to get into that because there's a lot of weird people in there.
That's my biggest problem with it. It's like when I look at the anime community, it's like sure, there's the people who are like just general people who are like, I just like the story and I like some of the girls look good, or some of the guys look pretty cool. Or look really hot because there's always Fujoshis or the Shonen Bro fans. But then at the same time, there's these people who are like, I came here for the cute little girls and cute little boys. I'm like, no.
But she's 3,000 years old.
Yeah! Like, she's 3,000 years old and the anime officer, I swear. And it could be very well true. Canon could establish that. But there's nothing you can do to convince me that makes me feel that you're a normal person. Like, I don't know. I mean, understand, look, if someone said, what would you rather do? Have these people go outside and, just let them go rampant? Obviously, I would say no. And obviously, I don't
think they would.
I don't think they would either way. I mean, if anime is a way to keep themselves in line to, like, not have to act on this, then okay, fine. But it doesn't make me feel like I don't like being in the same space as them. It's like you don't want to be in the same room as a convicted felon that just got out.
But also, like you said before, it could be like feeding bad behavior,
I don't think it does. I think it more or less keeps their appetite sated. Like, it's kind of like porn. I think in many cases, porn reduces a lot of people's will to do things, and because it's just so easily accessible that it makes them like less likely to, like, why would I bother going out on a date if I can get the satisfaction that I only care about because I'm really shallow at the moment, right here. And that could be a lot of shallow people that don't require a lot. And obviously there's people that really come here for a real relationship, which is good. At least that means that's not their problem. But if you're a person who's basically like, I only need to get this primal instinct out of me, so I'm just going to go to porn, then it kind of reduces your chance of, like, going out on a date or doing anything, sexual with another person. Same thing with, the whole pedophile thing. I really hope that whatever fan service this is tailored to all these really weird people, that keeps them from acting on their desires. I really hope that's the case, because if it isn't, I would raise a storm. I would raise a storm and go on I would go on a witch hunt.
I still don't like it myself. I just feel like, I know they're like, oh, slippery slope fallacy. I do think it is a sort of slippery slope where it's like, oh, they're just drawn and it's helping them relieve their stress. And it's like, oh, them looking at child porn is only helping them relieve their stress.
Well, there's a big difference. There's a difference. And here's the reason why I say there's a big difference whenever people say, like, oh, hentai or, like, anime is the same as child porn. The bigger difference is that one person's actually in a situation of sexual exploitation, while another thing is an inanimate object that is being drawn. And by putting those two as that's really a false equivalence. I'm not saying that the intention is different, but the scale of effect of what's happening on, what's happening is completely different. Because instead of having, child porn where there's little boys and little girls getting, having sex with older men, or I don't even want to go into it because I don't even think about it, but that's an actual human life being damaged, whereas an anime is just a drawing that doesn't hurt.
So you'd be okay with them drawing children then?
That's the thing. Anime is essentially drawing these children in very provocative situations, which I don't like. But if it means that they're not going to... I'd rather they do that than have a real child being used as pornography.
At all. Disagree on that.
If someone told me that, I would gladly... It's like, here, take your freaking sick drawings.
I would rather have neither.
I would rather have neither too. But
you're still okay with one of them.
I'm okay with one of them because of there's no one that, like, as a human being getting hurt physically or mentally because of this.
I don't know. I just think it feeds that sort of bad behavior.
It might, and I'm not. The thing is, I don't have any studies to prove whether it's right or wrong. If I had, like, a conclusive study, like multiple studies to prove that yes, exposure to this will cause it to do that, then I would probably be on your side, Jeffrey, and just say, yeah, don't even let them get close to it. But I don't have any evidence, mostly just a lack of bothering to go research it right now or at all. I might do it later if I'm ever pressured or I feel like I want to see if that actually causes someone to stop. But I don't know, and for the time being, if this is a solution that works, not saying that it does, or if between those two options, I'd rather let them, go off to, drawings than to actual people. Just protect lives, man.
Yeah, we're gonna have to still disagree on that, but
And maybe
hey.
that's where we should leave it at Tangent Podcast. Which is deepest.
Yeah, it's been quite
wow,
the podcast.
what a way to leave it.
Yeah.
What a way to leave your podcast. Like, this is episode 2, right?
Yeah, episode 2, and we're going like hard to the paint on like all the issues.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna listen. If people kept listening from episode 1, they're probably gonna leave now. Oh yeah, we're never gonna get like advertising this. We're like,
support us on Patreon or
listen to these first 2 episodes. Like, these guys are crazy.
I would never, even if someone said this is crazy, I would never redact the episodes, just because.
Oh no.
Just to prove them, like, I'm not afraid if you guys say that what we did was crazy, but we tried something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big like proponent of free speech. You know, like, people can say whatever they want.
With exceptions.
Yeah. Also, quick thing before the podcast ends. Did you hear how in France, I think it was today or yesterday, they made it illegal to like catcall, which I think is insane.
Now, here's the thing about catcalling. Like, I'm not too sure. Like, obviously, I don't think it's necessarily a good thing for anyone to do. I think that should be something that, if you do it, is at your discretion. But don't be surprised if someone calls you an asshole for it.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But at the same time, with catcalling, unless it's something like, hey, baby, if you don't come and have sex with me tonight, I'm going to come into your house and, you know, give you the sausage or whatever like that.
Yeah, that's
a threat. Or something like that. Or it's like, hey, baby, come over here and get your sweet lips right on me, or something like that. That's really messed up. But it's it's a matter of like, but here's the thing.
It's not a threat, though.
Exactly. The latter is not a threat. I'm not saying that it isn't good. You can charge the person with harassment. I think that's totally fair. That's fair game. Like,
if it's continued, yeah.
Yeah, if it's continued. If it's a one-time thing, then obviously that's not really something to go for harassment. Maybe you get like a restraining order to the maximum. Like, I don't want to be with that person.
Maybe.
That's like,
but
I can understand
criminalizing it.
Yeah,
I don't like that restriction.
Yeah,
I mean, even if it is on something bad, I still think people shouldn't be going to jail or paying a load of money for something that they could be doing while they're drunk. You know?
Definitely. I'm trying to figure out exactly, because this is the one thing I think, like, in the sense of like millennials, when I heard like this, like, like, I don't think it's millennials. I think it's just PC culture that came about that. It makes me feel like, what's the point of all like the pillars of free speech? Because one of the things about free speech is that you can say something retarded very well and something that you might regret, but at the same time you can not be arrested immediately just because of saying that. You may, or you can say something that's some people really don't agree with, but you can still say it because it's not punished. At least to a certain degree. Like, obviously, there's the classic example of saying, like, I'm going to blow up this mall. That's obviously, you know, you can't say that. Or there's a fire in a movie theater. You can't say that. But stuff like catcalling, where it's not like a threat or it's a continued harassment, that's when it's, like, really, really, it's what you would call, I wouldn't say Orwellian, it's just authoritative. Or maybe it is Orwellian because of controlling your speech. Yeah,
I think it's definitely on the road to that, but it definitely is fairly authoritarian.
Yeah, it's just, this is the kind of stuff that makes me wonder, like, who is this left that I'm with? I'm not too sure about the American left or the right. I'm not going to the right, Jeffrey.
Join the dark side of the force.
I'm not joining the right. There's some things I can agree, but I won't join the right. You have to really give me a lot of good changes and reason for me to.
I don't know. The left seems to be going farther and farther left.
I think it's kind of going in both ways. Everyone's kind of pulling to the extremes at this time.
Possibly.
Because it's kind of like we have to find who's the pure one and not just these tainted corporate, you know, schlobs who say they're right or say they're left. Like, when I look at the left, it's like, oh, these people are only doing this to support the patriarchy or to support the corporate America. And at the same time, the right's like, these people are just supporting these, these policies because they got listen to Washington and their corporate backers are, not listening to us and who are just, taking our jobs away too, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So it's like everyone's trying to find who's the purest of them all so they can finally make their leader. And because of that, the middle's becoming so spread thin that it's almost impossible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a good place to leave the podcast.
Yeah.
See you guys at episode 3, the 4 of you who stick around.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks. I'm sure you enjoy listening to all these cursing and hard opinions.
Yeah, this is hard opinions. We're putting it out there. Eventually, we might say something that's really profound, and you're going to quote us on, your BuzzFeed article.
Put me in your senior quotes, guys.
I think we're too late for that. Put my favorite quote on my tomb.
Yeah. No. Here.
Put your favorite quote on your tomb.
Listen, juniors, right now, I have a senior quote for you. Senior quote. It's perfect.
Well done.
I actually had a senior quote that I thought of, but I forgot to tell them. But
I gave them mine.
That would have been my senior quote otherwise. Just senior quote.
Best quote.
It's wonderful.